pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for the sick, handicapped, recently departed, and the military personnel of our community. Roll call.
Mr. Henderson?
Here.
Mr. Petroselli?
Here.
Mr. Colosimo? Here. Mr. Gallarducci?
Here.
Mr. Verducci?
Here.
Mr. Shashovsky?
Here.
Ms. Cimaroli? Here. Mayor Copeland? Here. Solicitor McDermott?
Here.
Engineer Brett?
Here.
I'm Joe Cower. Chief King?
Here.
Chief Castaigne? And then Director Miller.
Here. Thank you. I'd like to start the meeting off by wishing our mayor the happiest of birthdays.
Happy birthday.
Wishes, but
Would you like us to sing?
Yeah, that's good.
She must have heard you sing.
That was a good call.
With that, let's do public comment. Bob Pratt.
Hi. Yeah, again, thanks for allowing me to speak at your meetings. A couple of weeks ago, I ran into a Bridgeville businessman, and he told me that a Bridgeville official whose name I will never disclose, when he mentioned doing something about the traffic congestion problem, he suggested the two-only couple, and this official sort of made fun of it. And I just wanted to, one of the things I wanted to bring to you tonight, this is a copy of the 6 traffic engineers or city planning people that were recommended the two-way couple. It's not just a list of them. What I did, and I made this up probably 5 years ago, these are the actual quotes from each of their studies and the pages on which the quotes are listed. And I'm sure that this study's in individual records. So, I'll leave it here.
All right, thanks.
If you do me a favor, if you'd make copies of that, and this is something else. When I'm just done talking about the importance of consumer rights, I want each of you guys to get one of these and get passed down. At any rate, what I wanted to show you, and I like doing things with pictures because it's easier for everybody to understand, that big drawing in the center are the consumer motorist routes that need to be made part of the comprehensive plan that are that come into Bridgeville. The green outline one, that's Washington Pike, Route 50, that's the two-lane couple. The blue one, this area here, that's Bower Hill Road, and the split where the traffic motorists are going through Baldwin Street to redevelop that area. And some things that you might not be so knowledgeable about. These red arrows, that's primarily Chest Street. Chest Street, I guess, used to be an important route through this area, but it could be made if you straighten out that kink or something at the bottom of the hill and allow that steep hill to go straight across. That provides a route, again, into the central business district. And, excuse me, I have laryngitis today, I'm sorry. And this orange line, that's sort of a shot in the dark. The orange outline is Mayview Road, which is Bank Street, Station Street, and Station Street continuing on down past the church. And you might be able to persuade PennDOT to allow that to enter the northbound lane on Interstate Highway 79. One of the PennDOT engineers told me not too long ago that the northbound approach ramp to the northbound lane, the contractor made some sort of mistake. He made it double wide or something like that. He was telling me the contractor had come up with a great deal of money to pay for it. At any rate, I just want to emphasize to you on one thing. When you apply for your funds, and if you would include in your comprehensive plan the fact that the 4 lanes of Washington Pike, Route 50 from Collier Township have to be carried through the Ridgeville Central Business District to get a tax revenue producing again. And the same with Bower Hill Road. Don't be afraid of that. Bower Hill Road, the 4-lane widening Bower Hill Road, as we all know, stopped at the Painters Run Road intersection. But that can be carried through, and you don't have to tear down 40 homes. If you drive down Baldwin Street, and when you get to the Baldwin Street Bridge, and you look to the left, there's a 16-foot wide paved alley that actually Joe told me, I knew what it was, but he knew the name of it, was Old Slater Way. At any rate, that road can be used as the 2 lanes going north toward Scott Township, and Bower Hill Road can be the 2 lanes going south toward Bridgeville, and together, there's about, right now there's about 18,000 cars a day that are using that road, and it's actually, I'm sorry, about 14, actually it's about 18, because the Allegheny County count stopped at the McLaughlin Road intersection, but they didn't consider the cars using it coming off of Railroad Street and McLaughlin Road. But what I'm getting at is, that's another opportunity for you to get several thousand people driving through a Bridgeville business district, the Baldwin Street Business District. And the items, the solutions that I've devised to make that relatively inexpensive would, I think, make it very attractive. Oh, one last thing. You see the drawing down at the bottom there? That's the railroad bridge, as you know, that goes over top of Washington Avenue. That's the item, that's the feature that PennDOT for years kept telling everybody why they couldn't build a 2-way couple, they couldn't do anything to alleviate traffic congestion in Bridgeville, because the railroad officials were uncooperative. They wouldn't cooperate at all with PennDOT. And what I did was, I designed a duplicate bridge to the one that's there. The one that's there would stay, you just build a duplicate over the top of it. That would allow 2 lanes and a sidewalk to go under that bridge. And I sent the drawings and the blueprints and these drawings to the officials of the railroad company. And one of them, I designed it so that it wouldn't terminate their use of the tracks. And like one of the fellows called me back, I have his name in my files, and he said that he liked the idea because it didn't terminate the use of their tracks. But what I'm getting at is, I'd really like you guys to be super aggressive and not think that you're asking, even though to build the things that are on that drawing will cost $50 million. Keep in mind, you aren't going to be paying for very much of it at all. The Bower Hill Road thing is Allegheny County's responsibility. However, from the McLaughlin Road intersection in, it's allegedly ours, Bridgeville's. And the PennDOT, the green lines there, the 2-way couple, that's definitely PennDOT's responsibility. And people from PennDOT high up have told me that already. Anyway, didn't mean to take so much time, but just don't think you're asking for too much when you ask for a consumer motorist system like this for the people in Bridgeville. They've suffered too long in too many different ways to not do the very best.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, guys.
Anybody else in the room? All right, move on to business. I need a motion to approve the February 14th, 2022 regular meeting minutes as submitted.
I shall move.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. I need a motion to approve the March 2022 bill list. I move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to approve the March 18th, 25th, April 1st, and 8th payrolls. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-4. This is a resolution of the Borough of Bridgeville, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, requesting a flood mitigation program grant of $500,000 from the Commonwealth Financing Authority of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania from the Rockland Run Flood Control Project Phase 1A.
I so move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you to the Planning Commission for their job in working on putting that together. I need a motion to adopt resolution number 2022-5, a resolution of the Borough of Bridgeville, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, requesting a Greenways, Trails, and Recreation Program grant of $250,000 from the Commonwealth Financing Authority of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for the Chartiers Park Fitness Trail Project.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. This is the one we didn't get before?
Yeah.
Need a motion to authorize the execution of change order number 1, final for the Janeway Streambank Stabilization Project, resulting in a contract decrease of $330, based on field measurements of final in-place quantities and to include additional work associated with avoiding the existing water line.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Not often we get a break. We're actually celebrating that. Need a motion to authorize a disbursement of $14,235.28 from the Capital Project Fund to Bretzel Excavation LLC for partial payment number 3 and final of the Janeway Streambank Stabilization Project.
I so move. Good.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Need a motion to authorize the execution of a service order authorization with LSSE Civil Engineers and Surveyors to develop permitting documents for the submission to PADEP for the proposed McLaughlin Run Flood Control Project Phase 1A in the amount of $37,300.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? The motion passes. Need a motion to authorize and grant 2021 earned income tax credits to the active Bridgeville volunteer firefighters per Chapter 24, Part 1, subsection 111 of the Bridgeville Code of Ordinances. Under a note, list of the eligible firefighters has been provided and certified by the fire chief.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Do we know how many?
13. And they're eligible up to $300.
That's a great program. I need a motion to accept the lowest responsible bid received from Myers Demolition and Excavation in the amount of $25,030 for the structure demolition project, subject to the contractor obtaining the required insurance certificates, performance bond, payment bond, and review and approval of the same by the borough solicitor prior to the execution of the agreement by the borough. Under note, project is funded by a state blight grant and will demolish 733 Bower Hill Road and 671 Baldwin Street rear.
We have called
Yeah, let's have Connor's comments.
Actually, what constitutes responsible bid? These bids were very drastic in number, and I was wondering if I had some clarification on what the process would be. Would it be capping everything? Would it be adding gravel? Would it be adding sod? How will these be completed? I know they have to follow state regulations on these blight removals, but they were drastic differences between the two bids that we've received.
I think the one bid that we're awarded contract to really isn't that far off budget. The other contractor has been throwing Hail Marys on all your contracts. You look at the backflow project,
Right.
I would encourage you to look at his bid there.
I did do it. That company seems to have been doing that with many of our bids.
Yeah, he bids quite a bit of work in the area,
Okay.
pick and chooses. Some he gets, he's very, very reasonable, other ones he's very high. There's 3 or 4 of the site contractors that bid that way. The restoration is the same with all of them. The main cost is the demolition, and then they just put dirt back and get grass to grow. I mean, basically, that's how these lots go back in. They're just back to grass. There's no
So there's
saw or anything.
So
The difference is
the
the is the demolition itself.
utilities and they'll put hay over top of it to help the grass grow.
Like Joe said, the cost of the low bidder is very close to what we thought it would be. And the other one just extremely high. We've been seeing this all year. Bids have been high all over the place. Guys got work, they bid high, they get the job, they make a lot of money. Guy doesn't have a lot of work, he bids it, he gets the job, so this is what it's worth.
When they demolish, do they have to follow state and federal guidelines as far as demolishing?
Yep.
Okay.
We had asbestos surveys done with the properties so that they know what needs abated properly and it was put in the specs.
What was just put out the bid advertisement? I didn't see anything or hear anything about it, so.
Pittsburgh Post-Gazette,
Okay,
we ran it twice.
just in case someone was.
It was on our website, there was a couple area contractors who were interested and we asked that it was forwarded to them.
Okay,
I was surprised there's only 2 bids.
yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, it's two houses.
And demolition is difficult. We get a handful of guys that bid demolition. We also bid this was an electronic bid on Quest. And basically, anybody that bids Quest one time, they sign up for it, and they get an automatic notice when it goes out. So our number of bids have been way up because there's more people get notice, because a lot of people don't get papers anymore. And it takes them a while to get them.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't every week. There's a real problem with newspapers in Chicago right now.
Mike, you have a question?
Yeah, real quick, I know like with the properties that FEMA's taking over, they have to be green space. With these properties, once, you know, we demolish them, you say you cap the utilities, are they allowed to be anything else, or what happens to the properties in the future?
Essentially, nothing happens.
Yeah, theoretically, they're a vacant property that somebody could theoretically, if it was a, do with the property use.
Okay.
The borough won't own these.
What's that?
The
The borough
borough
will
will not.
Oh, we will not?
Who owns
Who owns them?
The one on Baldwin Street is owned by Nancy Livingston, and the one on Barnum
She
Road.
owned the home, but now she just don't own it.
It-
Correct. And then,
I think-
and then Barnum Road is essentially a defunct group that goes nowhere.
And Mike, just real quick, by the way, I
Yeah.
okay, the Pima properties, we acquire those
Right,
through that program, and then we're under a deed restriction that they have to be left like that.
right.
The other ones, we don't own those at all. That's actually an enforcement power that we have to force an owner of a dilapidated property item to, and Joe sends out those notices and all that. They get the legal authority, we never own it, we get the legal authority to, he orders them to tear it down by a deadline failing which we're allowed to enter in and tear it down and have it leaned, et cetera. And then they have the grant programs that support that as
Sure.
well.
Now, I'm just curious, like, you know, as we move forward with like flood mitigation projects, you know, how does that piece of puzzle, you know, fit into, hey, we have these pieces of properties we're trying to acquire, and FEMA's taking them, and now they're green space. Is this one here gonna be like an oddball where it's owned by somebody else, and they're like, nope, you can't touch it, and just curious, I'm just curious.
So then they're leaned about 13 grand on the property.
Technically, we don't have to.
Oh, I'm sorry,
It's a grant.
they used to make you lean, but
This funding source didn't require a lien. We went back and confirmed it from the state.
So then the person owns the lot free and clear.
Yes. But what you have here, though, is that these properties have been property maintenance eyesores for a very long time. Went through the code process a long time ago. Was all of them, both of them, these ones were both condemned with demolition orders put in effect, oh my God, 5+ years ago. So they've been sitting as problems for a very long time.
So that's the benefit of why you're getting the money, but now this person has a free and clear land lot.
their taxes are still lean. They just don't, what used to happen is they would make us lean it. And by the way, as a practical matter, the COG has never seen when it actually got to, sold and turned over where there was a money due back to them.
Well, that's what I assumed. I would assume it wasn't borough lien, it was the COG lien, so it's not even.
No, this is a state grant, this is not from the
Oh,
COG. This was, before I got hired, you asked me to do a grant for blight removal, and this was that grant.
Okay.
And it's interesting, as just time heals all wounds, we included a number of properties into this grant application. 2 of them have been hypothetically withdrawn because new owners for 2 of them, and they applied for building permits, and they're working with the building inspector to lift that, condemnation, and they're doing it the right way. So 2 out of this program, out of this grant, have actually been gone, and then 1's sitting in limbo that we can go back and use. But
And most of those have tax liens on them, so they'll get paid as well.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any more comments before we vote? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to accept the lowest responsible bid received from Orsiris Enterprises in the amount of $154,750 for the backwater valve contract. This is phase 5, subject to the contractor obtaining the required insurance certificates, performance bond, payment bond, and review and approval of the same by the borough solicitor prior to the execution of the agreement by the borough.
I so move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This one's going all the way up to New York, right?
there's a couple properties on New York, and essentially it goes up McLaughlin Run, to right past Coolidge Street. There's 17 properties within this phase.
Okay, I need a motion to authorize Secure Technical Solutions to install security cameras in Cook School Park at a cost not to exceed $10,670.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to authorize Secure Technical Solutions to install security cameras in McLaughlin Run Park at a cost not to exceed $11,385.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All our parks will be under the watch, right?
And who has those? If the police have that, and that's it? Or
That's
you
it.
have
I don't have it. It's all the police.
Okay, I need a motion to authorize PM Computing to upgrade the audio-visual equipment and computer technology within the council chambers at a cost not to exceed $4,455.49.
I have a question.
Yes.
The question is that they actually state that the warranty does not cover any software-related issues such as viruses, program incompatibility. Are we assured that what we currently have existing software-wise will be compatible with what they offer? Do we have to worry about that?
I don't believe so. The software we use for the meetings is web-based. It's really nothing like it.
Probably talking about if it's like a Windows 7 computer instead of.
Okay.
There is no, just to understand what the proposal's for. Right now, we run the meetings off a laptop with a supplemental webcam and a microphone that we have up there. The quality isn't that great. We've been hearing that complaint for a long time now. We realize that these type of meetings is the future, it's not going anywhere. So we might as well just get to the quality of what the citizens expect. The proposal essentially upgrades the microphones to use the existing sound system behind you, the black box. The tape decks within the black box would be removed. Instead of having a laptop, the monitor will stay, the TV, and it will essentially become the computer monitor. And they'll have a computer behind there with a wireless keyboard and mouse that will be here, so you could run the meetings from sitting here. The computer will be wired into the old sound system so that the microphones before you will actually go into the sound system that you hear on the computer, not like our jerry-rigged version up there. The webcam would be a higher quality resolution webcam so that you get the whole room. Right now, we're cutting off Betty because the one we had last week broke because they're cheap. And so that's essentially what we're trying to do, just bring up the quality. It's just a regular computer like you get for an office. It's nothing too fancy.
Will we store these digitally?
Oh, there'll be no change. For our meetings, we still record on a DVR. So when you see me get up and hit that white switch that goes to nowhere, essentially what I'm doing is I'm turning the DVR on, and that records our meeting in the back, and then we save that recording and put it on YouTube each month. So if you go on our website, all our meetings are posted to the website and YouTube, and it's from the DVR. which does a good quality, it's just that you can't connect that up through Zoom. That's what makes us have the delay. Make sense?
Any further questions? I'll take a motion. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Need a motion to authorize Fay S&B USA Construction to apply an anti-graffiti coating on the Chartier Street Welcome to Bridgeville wall at a cost not to exceed $3,306.39. This is the wall that will be by the Rite Aid on Chartier Street, right?
I'm gonna
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There was supposed to be an example. I think it's-
Yeah, they poured it. There's 2 test panels. I would encourage you to go down and look at it, they're just not completed. In the corner of the parking lot, the Rite Aid parking lot, right at the corner of Chartier Street, you'll see what you think is just being like a piece of jersey barrier, but when you get out of your car and look, one is, I believe, a W stamped in, and the other one is the brick. That's the sample walls. They need stained. So once they're stained, I'll let you know. But they're supposed to be stained within the next week or so that you can say, yeah, we like that or not. Because there was a question that I maybe hope for your feedback on, is that the color of the brick is essentially has been spec'd to match Bethany Church. So when you come into town, it looks like 2 bookends. The wall matches Bethany Church. So we matched up color palettes to the church, and it's like 3 colors of red to get the same red. So it may be a tweak, and then the gray outside of the W is like a concrete color. So when it's done, please go look at it. We see them painted. That's really it, but I'll let you know.
I need a motion to authorize the auction of and advertisement for the upcoming electronic auction via www.municipbid.com of the 2010 Ford Crown Victoria Surplus Police Cruiser. So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to accept and pay any commission due February 2022 real estate tax collector report.
I'll move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to acknowledge receipt of the February 2022 treasurer's report.
I'll move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I need a motion to accept the February 2022 police report.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Joe. Committee reports. Administration. Nicholas Chisholm.
Thank you, Mr. President. Happy birthday, Madam Mayor. Thank you for all the service. We appreciate that. Small little things real quick. Once again, we were recognized by Allegheny County as a banner community for good government. So thank you, all of you. And also, the 2022 annual newsletter has been mailed out. The virtual is online as well, so please make sure to take a look at that on our borough website. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks, Dave. Finance, Joe Verducci.
Not much going on here with the finance this month. The audit is being finalized. There is one thing that we did want to make public. There is a low-income household water assistance program. The borough is enrolled in. It's a new state program that qualifies citizens of Bridgeville can seek this new funding to offset sewer bills and delinquent accounts. So that is on our website, correct, Joe?
No, I don't believe it's on the website here. I know I've had a number of people
Is it
already.
something we could just add a link somewhere?
Yeah, it's a good idea. I could do that. We've had a number of people that has applied for this, so it's fairly new.
Good.
And it was nice is that during the pandemic, there wasn't water shut-offs. So the people that historically would have been shut off had very high accounts that were lean. And this account, or this new program was enabling people to satisfy those liens. So,
Yeah, you can put it on the website somewhere, just so they.
yeah, I'll take care of that.
And, let's see. I think that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Jog my memory, did everybody get something from the water? They're gonna be doing a different treatment on the water. Yeah, and could be a different smell or even a taste of something, but
Have
it's
Chardonnay come out of it.
Chardonnay. Yeah, I've been to be for about a month, but so if you happen to recognize, the public happens to recognize it, it's a difference in treatment. Parks and Rec, Joe Glassman.
Okay, real quick, the shower levels for the parks and the boroughs start on March 1st. So you get your days for graduation parties and whatnot, get down there, get the best dates. Planning's underway for Bridgeville Day on the Avenue, which is scheduled for Saturday, June 18th. We have a committee meeting on March 22nd at 6 o'clock, if you're interested in coming down and seeing what's going on and getting involved. That's all I have.
Thanks, Joe. Public Works,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. New backhoe has been ordered and delivered, expected by May. The Pennsylvania Water Company will be replace the water main and section on Bluff Street, Garden Street, Center Street, and Luna this summer. Okay. The road program is going to meet to coordinate with the Bader and somewhat. And I make a note here, and I didn't notice where maybe you put them in different way. I didn't see where you mentioned that there should be curb to curb of this when you get together with the low bidder. And you put in
You're
different
talking about-
verbiage here, and I don't quite understand.
Are you talking about the street
The-
restoration
yeah,
from
the
a-
street.
from a utility company or the road program?
Oh, wait, this is the road program.
That's all road program in your report.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
We've asked for that.
All utility, yes, but it's not mentioned on this paragraph.
I think what he's saying is to coordinate with
Coordinate.
whoever's repaving the whole section of road because they dug it up, to coordinate with
Yeah,
our
maybe-
road program.
Yeah,
That's
so
what he's asking.
maybe I can explain on that too.
Sure, you
So-
got them in different verbiage.
Yes, so one, regarding your road program for this year, we notified and coordinated all utility companies of the upcoming work
Yeah.
months ago, just so that, hey, if you have a break or a known problem,
Okay.
get it fixed now versus ripping up
Not
a
before,
brand new street.
yes, yes.
And then regarding, an any day street opening, once you get your street opening permit, a part of the permit, it says at the bottom under remarks, I'll put the restoration guidelines. And then twice a year, we go out and inspect which street openings have been repaired and which haven't. And they get a letter from us that says, hey, I saw you had an opening at 1400 Critchfield. It's only X amount this was done on this side of the road, this is what's required, and then I provide them copies of that. So that's being done.
Good. By the way, that call we got on Sarah Street, I think somebody, that department, the fireman was there, our public work was there, you remember that?
I do.
Yeah, very well. I think somebody maybe come from you someday, maybe they need the backflow of that, only that house. We should advise them to have, it's expensive, but they have to pay it themselves. In some cases, we can provide it.
I don't think so. I think maybe we could discuss that as a committee.
Yes, I would appreciate it, because that was, to me, I thought it was her fault.
No.
When I called you, but then you guys done your work, Jack was there, blah, blah, and they noticed it was not her fault.
Yeah.
And Jack did something that functioned properly right now.
No, I think just as we're on the record, I think we need to understand that that was after the very severe rain, that day, February 18th. We were very fortunate that section of sewer was CCTV'd and cleaned like a month or two before that was
Yes.
done. So we had television record that there was not a deficiency in that pipe. That was, it's sad to say, problems happen at people's houses with laterals. That was a private issue. we went above and beyond and brought in a second
Oh,
Vector
yes.
truck and cleaned that line even after it was done from the CCV contract. So I'm very confident to say there is nothing wrong with that borough main.
Absolutely.
So I don't
Yeah.
think we need to say we need to give them a backflow preventer. I think they had a problem at their house, and maybe
Yes.
that's it.
I thought maybe we were responsible for some, but when I heard all the procedure and everything, I said, no, that's theirs.
Yeah.
If they want to do it like that, they have to do it themselves, they have to take it
Yeah,
themselves.
it's unfortunate what happened, but
Yes.
backflow preventers, they're not cheap. You see that
Yeah,
tonight, yeah.
Yeah, they're not cheap,
So
but
one time doesn't,
they work.
yeah.
And what's with this report on the road to this failure here? The street and failure, which you guys, which was that, on Chest Street. We have a
Section
failure.
Chess
Yeah.
at Hall, behind the Methodist Church. That was done as part of the 2019 road program.
Yeah.
That was completed in early 2020, so we're still fortunate where it's under the maintenance
Under
law.
the maintenance law.
I don't know if it's just, I
I
can't
bet
tell
they
you, I say pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's like a soft spot worked its way through and fell apart.
Yeah, it falls into an odd category of, the contractor is out of business. They did that contract. So we have notified the bonding company, have notified them that they're no longer in existence, so we'll chase that.
Well, okay, good. Other than that, the less snow we have, we took care of it very well, and I hope we don't have any more. So I don't have anything else, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Public safety, Bruce.
Yes, Public Safety Committee met with the mayor and the chief and our administrator. We've got several different parking issues that we're looking at, crosswalk issues through town. And Chad will elaborate on this a little bit of the stuff we discussed as far as that. And we're working on some solutions. We're going to start going on and following through with it and see what we have. And that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Mayor, Betty Copeland.
Last Friday, I was privileged to swear in our new part-time officer, Aaron Cardillo. I'm happy to have him. He speaks very highly of him. Thank you.
Thank you. Police chief.
Thank you, Council President. I'll provide you guys with a written report. If there's any questions, I can answer anything about that. To expand a bit on the public safety meeting, I will say that in the next few months, we're going to have a pedestrian safety blitz take place within the borough where we're strongly enforcing crosswalk violations when cars pass through crosswalks when pedestrians are within them. So that's coming up in the next few months, and as we get closer, more details will be released.
Thank you, chief. Any questions for the chief? Okay, Solicitor Tom McDermott.
Thank you, Ed. You have my written report. I will note that, and Joe, I think, mentioned his as well, that we do have 5 of the 6 flood properties closed, and I'm confident, I'm hopeful that we'll close the 6th in time for Joe to include them in the demo.
Any expectation on when we might start?
I'm hoping probably May. Gateway's hoping to put the project out to bid end of this month, so we're earliest would be end of May.
Okay. Any questions for Tom? All right, Borough Engineer, Kevin Brett.
Nothing in addition to our report. Any questions?
Any questions for Kevin? No? Fire Chief, no one from the fire department here. We can jump on. Southbridge EMS, Dan Noy.
Thank you. Just to let everybody know that our subscription drive, members drive is going out, so you should start seeing those on the mail. So we appreciate the support there. And also, we have been seeing a decrease in the number of COVID cases, and it's good to kind of see the masks off for a little bit. We're cautiously optimistic that it will stay that way, but we will keep on notice of that.
Yeah, we are with you on that. Anyone from the Historical Society? Library, Ray, you have something?
Yeah. The first week of April is the National Library Week. And April 9th to 11th, we're having a used book sale. In conjunction with that, in addition to that, there's a basket raffle. The basket's on display now. We've got a couple adult programs coming up, genealogy end of March, and prevented identity theft end of March as well. We also are interviewing 2 board candidates this week, if subject to board approval. We'll be at full capacity, first time in a long time, that we board fulfilled. And we're still working on the 60th anniversary for the library coming up.
Okay, any questions for Ray? Thanks, sir. Bill? Yeah, Mayor, that's something else.
I'm sorry, from the Historical Society. On Tuesday, March 29th is the program Fred Rogers, How He Influenced the World, presented by Chris Rodell. And Mary Wise is looking for information on, or pictures in regard to a swimming pool that was supposed to have been at St. Agatha's Church parking lot. She believes it was called the Crystal Pool. And she's hoping that someone in town will have some information on it.
That's the first I've heard of that.
Yeah, she called me yesterday. That's before my time here.
I didn't know that was possible.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. But it was something like that.
Parking authority, I have nobody here for the parking, right?
Okay, can I put in a request? I know that they sent us the year-end financials for review. Just as a nonprofit, just out of curiosity, if they have somewhat of a budget or something put together, I'd like to be able to see what they're planning for the coming year of normalcy as far as their financials and so forth, based on how it's been the last 2 years.
I agree.
Is that a letter?
Just writing an email request is fine. I mean, that's what we end up getting as their report, is just a, if we could, please. Okay.
Planning Commission, Mike, do you have anything for,
So we had a kickoff meeting with Mappin for the comprehensive plan, so that went well. Also, too, we're still working on the steering committee, and hopefully we should be able to get something together for the next planning meeting on March 28th. And that will be citizens of Bridgeville and other interested parties. We also had the active transportation plan update. Planning committee should be seeing a draft version at the end of March. And that's about it.
thank you. Appreciate that. Borough Manager Joe Cowell.
Thank you. The work at McLaughlin Run Park to restore the stream bank that eroded by those outfalls that got damaged during the floods in 2018 is currently underway. Hopefully it'll be done this week. We also, when you saw on the agenda tonight, submitted our 3rd grant application for the flood control project phase 1. So I'm hoping that at least one of these will catch traction. So it's our 3rd application in for the year. I submitted my report. There's a lot going on in town. If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
Any questions for Joe?
Yeah, just one. Joe, when you guys are talking about the Oregon Avenue improvement, that's a very important route for consumer motors into our largest parking lot. But what I wanted to ask you, is it, you got about $500,000 for that project, right? Did you plan on putting a sidewalk on the west side or anything like that in there?
No, it's a retaining wall, storm sewers, and asphalt restoration.
Okay, no, I was just curious, but that is an important route, because when cars continue down that additional new Churchill Street lane, I'm not really sure if PennDOT put a bigger radius on that clearance so cars can drive into the Bridgeville Central Business District easier, and that makes Werner Avenue very important.
Okay, thank you. Before we get into new business, I'd just like to throw congratulations out to Dylan Evans, our Churches Valley wrestler who won state championships at 152, right? He was a 152 weight. And also wish our girls basketball team luck as they're pursuing the state championship too, so. Yeah, I think they're 1-2 in the state titles.
In Gettysburg, near Altoona, I think. Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
I believe it's tomorrow night.
Okay, we're gonna turn it over.
Can I take two things?
Yep.
First of all, I want to thank Joe Power. He's going to be speaking at the Rotary luncheon this Thursday. And the Chamber, I don't know if anybody's been following with the Chamber. From Little Birdie, there's some very interesting announcements that are coming up soon with them. So stay tuned and maybe link them on Facebook or maybe even come to the event on March 24th. Nick, is that right? Sorry, I forgot you're on the board, not me. And just another reminder, April 7th, we are still looking for a few trivia teams. We have a trivia night, April 7th that the Rotary is sponsoring. That is at the Fire Hall. It's a great time. We're looking probably for 4 or 5 more teams. So anybody that's interested, please let me know as soon as possible. Thank you.
Is there anybody else on the new business? Okay, we're gonna turn it over to the Bridgeville Art, Public Art Bridgeville, I should say. And Guy, I hear that you're gonna be speaking?
Yes. Do I need to use that? Or,
You don't have to, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Public Art Bridgeville, Elizabeth and I moved here about 2 years ago, built a house. I'm a professional sculptor. We both were raised in the suburbs of Pittsburgh. We grew up here appreciating all the culture that Pittsburgh had to offer. And moving back, something here is called COVID 19. And we're saying, all those poor artists out there are really getting hard art, as everyone else was. So we talked about, well, is there anything we could do maybe to help people of the community appreciate some art and see it? And maybe the artists themselves would appreciate some help. So we talked to Joe, and we talked about a mural for the railroad bridges. And Elizabeth and I went down there and did some measurements and took some plywood down and tried to come up with some ideas. And BJ. BJ, thanks for your help. I'm glad you're out of town. And Joe mentioned that BJ was on the council and she was interested in doing some type of art project also. So we talked to everyone and talked to the railroad, and they said, no way, Jose. So we decided, well, there's something else we can do. Well, being a sculptor over the years, I've been all over the country doing sculpture walks. And I would take my pieces and have them installed in cities, and found out that the programs where you have private, public, and government cooperation in some things can promote the arts in very good ways. And people seem to enjoy having new art come into their town once a year. And the sculpture walk that I've been in are usually 6 months, and then they started advancing to 1 year, and then sometimes communities have had 2-year installations. So it's something we talked about, and I have a database of a bunch of sculptors, and we sent the word out. Is anyone interested? We got a very nice response back, and found out that we could have a few sculptures in Bridgeville by these sculptors. So Elizabeth and I decided to contribute some of our money to the project. Joe said he thought maybe the city could do that, and so now we're moving forward with a 501c3 where we can have the community members donate money to it. We've already had some personal money donated by other people who don't need a 501c3 write-off right now, so that'll help the project. So the negative side is, and the plus side is, we have a very good artist who has sculptures who we would like to display. And this person is deceased, which means as a well-known artist who is deceased, his pieces are probably worth a little bit more to his
foundation. So they're willing to allow us to use 2 pieces. The gentleman's name is Stuart Johnson. Hopefully they will deliver the ones they agreed to. Joe received the contract, and now we're asking the city to cover the insurance of those pieces. And I think that's the official item on the agenda, that we think that it's nice to have a well-known sculptor here, even though he's deceased, I'm sorry to say, because his pieces are very easy to relate to. They're actually humans, and one is a man sleeping on a bench, the other one is someone reading a paper. And the newspaper that will be on that sculpture will be the Bridgeville, I'm sorry, I forget the name.
Borough of Bridgeville newsletter, I believe.
And they said they could make whatever we want on that newspaper display area, and we're hoping to have it displayed. And what's nice about it is he's sitting on a bench, and we found from other sculptures of similar construction is that people walk by them with their kids and their relatives, and they sit down and have their picture. Everyone has their cell phone with them, and they take a picture with this sculpture. So we think it's a very positive piece to have. The other sculptures we'll have displayed, most of them are very contemporary. We have one which is called an installation art, which will be the artist that's installing it at the site, first time. And I'm not going to explain. An installation art is something you have to read more about what it's about than you do actually visually looking at it and can figure out what it is. So, anything I've missed?
Any questions?
Do we know where these 2 ones you're talking about, where they're going to be placed?
We have them cited, the gentleman with the newspaper who's just been fishing, by the way, which is why it's close to the Chartiers Creek area. It will be on, if you're going south through town, La Bella Beans on your left, he'll be next to La Bella Beans, just north of, and the installation piece will be south of, and on Dr. Roy's property. And then the other Stuart Johnson piece will be in Triangle Park.
Yeah, the agreement pieces are Triangle Park, and then the parcel that is a parking authority parcel. So Tom is working on a license agreement for permission. We need to go to the parking authority board to get formal authorization.
Okay. Any questions?
I do. I mean, I would assume these are pretty expensive or valuable. Any concerns in regards to damage or?
You never know. I mean, as many shows as I've been in, personally, I've had none ever vandalized. I did have one that deteriorated after about 6 months when I got a call from the host city, and they said, your piece needs to be rusting and all that. So I went there, and it was in a very nice landscaped area that had sprinklers on it every night. And I said, well, that sort of explains that, so now I know it was a steel rod piece with fiberglass. So I understood why, but I repaired it on site, and they turned the water sprinkler off right there for the rest of the show. So, does it happen? Yes. We know society does, people in society do anything, someone gets upset, does something. They're bronze pieces, so bronze can be damaged, but it's also repairable. I think their insurance covers if it's actually thrown in a truck and taken away. That's more what they're concerned about, I believe. So, I don't know, but I apologize to Joe because we didn't think this was a major problem when we presented it to him, because, the cities have blanket insurance for all kind of things, and we just assumed that everything would just come under that. So, this brought up a unique situation which we hope we can handle now.
So the insurance coverage is mainly for if somebody stole it?
For what?
For mainly if they stole it, or?
That's me saying that.
Okay.
I mean, they might say, well, since he's deceased, we don't want to repair it, because he did it, or, so there's all kind of reasons why they might not want to repair it. But as you know, ancient paintings have been repaired, so you can repair things, but it depends on their reason for wanting this insurance. But
the other possibility with bronze is if they still have the molds, they can recast, which.
Yeah, I'm not against it, I'm just trying to understand what the insurance is covering.
Well, it's like I think the same reason everybody gets insurance for anything. You don't expect your house is gonna burn down, but just in case it does, let's have some insurance, because that's a valuable asset for most people. And you don't think you're gonna have a car accident, but just in case, it's probably a good idea. And I don't think, when Joe and I were discussing the price of this, based on what I consider to be a relatively realistic and reasonable number, I don't think that there's probably a really great degree of expectation that it's going to be ruined or stolen, A or B. I think that the cost of, there wouldn't be literally hundreds of sculpture exhibitions across the United States of America if these things got vandalized and stolen on a regular basis. So we were a little bit, we should have been maybe more aware of the fact that this was all kind of new news to everybody, and Guy, apologize, I will second that apology. We've been in so many, and
I was just surprised at the coverage left, to be frank.
Well, he's
Right, but at the
famous,
same time.
famous dude.
But at the same time, how much the premium was compared?
Well, the amount of money for him, it's a quarter of that amount for all the other sculptors combined. Because they're trying to sell their work. If anybody's interested in buying it, you can't always buy it. But typically what they do is they just cycle these around. Selling is not the more common solution to this, but their selling prices are, 10 grand, 5 grand, or 20 grand at the most, I think, for the other pieces, so.
Okay, thank you.
Tom, can you shed some light on the coverage?
Yeah, and not for the purpose of being a wet noodle, but for the same reason that the renowned deceased Seward Johnson is very renowned. Contract is quite extensive, as you've seen, presumably non-negotiable, and just for transparency, buyer beware sake, you want to look at two provisions mainly, which is the security provision on page 3, and it starts on page 2, standard of care, and the insurance provision. The agreement does place the entire risk on the borough, and they are required to insure it, and you can see the values in Exhibit A. All the risk of losses is on the borough. And it is not for theft, it actually covers the most foreseeable and predictable sorts of things that can happen, which is vandalism and what's referred to as acts of the public, vandalism and mishandling. So you are the insured, required to be the insured, and are on hook for it. I think I noted if you were going to do this, and you've seen the price of cameras that you just purchased for your parks, you're under a duty back to, on page 3, standard of care, and security. Normally under the law, you have under your average Edgar Schneider case, giving more publicity than names and partners and the like, everybody's under a generalized duty of care to not be careless, to use reasonable care. This agreement specifically sets forth what's usually found in more high danger fields, like explosives. You'll see that you must use the utmost care, the highest standard of care. This agreement, just buyer beware, lessee beware, does basically impose expressly a 24/7 duty to use, and it expressly says 24/7, of the highest standard of care to protect these pieces. And the things that you need to protect them against, that you are required to insure against, and you are on the hook if anything happens, are what you see in the security provision, which is fire, theft, acts of public, vandalism, mishandling, etc. And I assume that everything in this agreement with the exception of perhaps the confidentiality clause, is not negotiable.
So does the coverage cover everything? Like if someone does throw in the truck?
That's the insurance coverage question, and I do understand, and Joe has spoken to our insurance folks. They are willing to cover it, you know, as a risk manager type person. That, I guess, the board's decision would be, and Joe can maybe shed some light on, you know, the questions I would have is, you know, what is the cost of that? If it isn't, if it's covered and they're willing to cover it, you would want to look at this express agreement and, you know, guarantee they're going to cover that for those losses. What's a deductible? What could happen? Like, say we get a claim on it, does that impact our rates? And then, you know, you can take the risk accordingly.
Do we have a number, like, you talking about how expensive this is it, how much are we talking about? You didn't give us a number.
3,000?
No.
No, I'm talking about for the insurance, like, are we just like talking like this is gonna impede the process? Or is it just a matter of like, cause.
Under the agreement, sorry,
Yeah.
I got a question, if it's okay for me. Exhibit A sets forth with regard to these two specific pieces, their value. And if we were to cover them, and I understand we can't have them covered,
Right.
we're required to under our insurance, so it would be covered for the full value. If there was a total loss, bestseller is worth $150,000 and Outer World is valued at $92,000 for the purposes.
Right.
The insurance cost is $900 for,
Yeah, it's about $880 for those two pieces, to be added as a scheduled.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, if it's a matter of like, oh, council say, or Bridgeville says, hey, we don't want to insure these, we'll figure out a way to insure.
That's accurate.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. I mean, what do we,
The question
about?
is,
You know?
if we're spending $900 to insure it, what does it cost for that's throwing a truck and drive away? I mean,
Exactly.
you know, so if it's another $200, what is it? So what is the coverage that we're getting? I think that's the question.
Yeah, we don't want to have to write a check for $300.
It's added to our scheduled equipment, like every piece of equipment is here, the backhoe, all our hand tools, the traffic signal, it'd be treated the same way on that same policy. The premium for those two pieces is at $880, our deductible is $1,000.
I think we need to confirm what that coverage is, though. What is it cover?
Yeah, that really hasn't, what we provided to our insurance carrier was, the whole conversation was, hey, if we do a mural on this bridge, the borough pledges X amount of dollars, we don't want to just throw our money away, can we add that mural to our insurance policy? Yes. I said, what happens if it's on a private property, but it's the borough funded it? If you're party to that lease, yes, is what our insurance guy said in an email. So times progressed, we now shifted to sculptures, you know, so we went back to him saying, hey, here's what we got. It's really, right out of left field, those values were something outside of Mayberry, really, just to be really candid. Sent him, not that whole 20-page agreement, I said, hey, there's a schedule, what would it cost to insure these as if, like, they're on our schedule, like every other piece of equipment or anything, just like the light posts on the avenue, you know, it's the same policy. He came back, $880, our deductible's agreement.
I get that.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is it may not cover someone throwing it in the back of the truck and driving away, right? Is that
Oh, it very may well. All I would do to confirm is basically send them the whole agreement and make sure it's all covered.
Yeah.
Now, I'm getting the sense that it is actually covered.
I think it's prudent for us to make sure that if we're paying for a policy, it's covering the thing that we're insuring, right?
Yeah,
I think everybody's in favor of
And he's actually giving me a premium cost for that, and it is actually, it does isolate, it's almost more like when you do the rental car and you get the extra insurance, it's not like I had the original impression it was going under, when you were doing the mural, just adding to our general liability policy, as a matter of course. Here, you know what you're paying for, you know what the deductible is, and in the context, it's, again, that's almost the equivalent of when you decide to pay for the insurance on your rental vehicle instead of putting it on your regular insurance. And it does isolate the risk factors.
I could just email it first thing in the morning.
think it's the right thing to do. Sure.
And you know, that's what's coming, you know,
Yeah.
so like the,
And then I guess the only sub-question would be to make sure, with regard to the one that's gonna be on public property, right? So this lease will be between the Sue Johnson and the borough. Both of them, I guess, will be.
I think it's one agreement for both pieces.
Correct.
Yeah, just need to make sure for insurance purposes that they understand that we are gonna turn around and give permission to put the second one on that private piece of property that will still be.
Yeah, I can go back and confirm it, because that's what started the whole conversation, with the mural that wasn't on a borough piece of property, so I can confirm that. We definitely will need that to get to the parking authority very soon, so we're gonna need that. Yeah.
So do we make a motion pending verification of coverage? Or how do
That's
you-
what I was saying, yes. We can make a motion on,
Sort
so-
of like way to go, more information,
Yeah.
see how big these things are.
I-
How long are we gonna have?
They will deliver.
No, that's all in, that's all in the.
Yeah, I got to read through it real quick, I mean, it's several months.
I think it's just the confirmation that the coverage that we're paying is gonna cover the artwork, right?
That's really it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we can make the motion pursuant to, the discovery of confirming that the insurance coverage is gonna cover the artwork once it's placed.
I'll make the motion.
I second.
Do I say? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Looking forward to it. Can we have, any other, under new business? I'll take that motion.
Second.
So a second. All in favor? Opposed? Meeting is